right? But the final thing I wanted to touch on there is that we could also periodize our training in line with our nutrition. So if you have, you're like, oh, I'm actually dieting here, right? I'm actually dieting down. I want to reduce my body fat. I'm in a deficit of calories. Is that the time to be doing a super high volume, super high intensity training program? Probably not, right? So we're going to look at what are we doing nutritionally? What are we doing in terms of a goals perspective? And are we aligning our training periodization in alignment with that? Most people don't do it. Most people think, oh, well, I'm dieting now, so that means I should do extra training volume. I should just do more and more and more, because you just think of this calories in, calories out component, and you go, well, if more training leads to more calorie burn, happy days, right? And also, especially if you are getting very lean, it can be quite nice to see yourself in the mirror going like, oh, I'm actually seeing my delts popping, my biceps, whatever it is. And you're kind of like, I'm just actually going to do another couple of sets in the gym, because you're getting that visual feedback, and it's probably not the best way to periodize your training. It's probably a better way to periodize your training in line with your nutrition, to be like, okay, well, I should probably do a little bit less training volume or a little bit less intensity when I am in an energy deficit versus when you are in a surplus, which is always quite strange, because everyone always goes and does the opposite. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to focus on like heavy resistance training when I'm in a surplus, and I'm going to do like, 10 sets per week. When I'm like, you have the capacity to do as much as possible. And if you want to milk it, like, you should probably fucking milk it, because you're in a surplus, versus the opposite, which is what everyone thinks of. I'm going to do more work because I'm in a deficit now, because that'll lead to more calorie burn. And it's like, well, you actually have the least amount of support going to actually support that training, right? So that's the final thing I wanted to kind of put in here. It's like, you need to think of all the stuff that's going on with everything, and the same thing goes with life. If you do know that, oh, like you're, I don't know, an accountant, and there's a busy time of year when everyone's doing their end of year returns or whatever. Thankfully, our accountant just does that for us. So like, you might know that this is a busy month for me. You might then pull back and go, okay, I'm actually only going to train 2 days per week this month, because I know stress is going to be higher overall. So my fatigue is going to be higher. My overall stressors are going to be higher during this time. So I'm going to pull back on the training. So it's just to like a very maintenance level, so you can periodize all of this stuff with your life, periodize it with your nutrition, basically look at what's going ahead, in the next couple of weeks, months, years, whatever, and then start thinking, how should I structure my training to better support the adaptations that I want?
Check.